This is William, hopefully your favorite videographer. We are here at the Dallas Area Rapid Transit Board meeting, the agency known as DART to Dallas, Texas residents. As a service to the Dallas community, we plan to cover DART board meetings from gavel to gavel. Public comments are required to keep DART board aware of issues close to the ridership that they may not get through other resources.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. It is now 6:41 p.m. and we will begin our Dallas Area Rapid Transit Board of Directors meeting. We apologize for being a few minutes late. We'll make up for it. The first item on our agenda today is the approval of the minutes from the September 26th meeting. Do we have any adjustments or changes to the minutes? A motion to approve those minutes? Okay, the motions has been moved to approve. All in favor say aye. Okay, we really don't need one. The next item on the agenda is public comments. And general public comments are allowed at the beginning of each DART board meeting for 30 minutes. And again, at the end of the meeting, when the 30-minute period does not accommodate all persons who have signed up to speak. Individuals who have addressed the board in the past 30 days will be recognized to speak during the public comment period at the end of the meeting. During the public comment period, board members may not interact with speakers or other board members by asking questions or offering their own comments. Members of the public are reminded that their behavior during DART board meetings is governed by the DART Board Code of Conduct for citizens, news media, and visitors. Personal attacks, impertinent and slanderous remarks, and boisterous conduct will not be allowed. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. The green light on the podium will indicate when you can begin speaking. The yellow light indicates you have 1 minute remaining, and the red light indicates your time has expired. Our first speaker this evening is Mr. Eddie Morgan, followed by Mr. Richard Sheridan.
My name is Eddie Morgan. I live at 2426 Hondo, Dallas, Texas, 75219. I am here against the fare increase. I'm a 61-year-old disabled male. I do use the DART. I use the train 3 times a month, and I think maybe one of the reasons why you're losing money is because I can count on my fingers the number of times that I have been asked to show my ticket. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Mr. Sheridan, followed by Ms. Pamela Curry.
Yes, I hope you don't interpret my truthful remarks to be slanderous remarks. There is a difference. Again, I'm here to object to the DART fare increases. Here's a condition in which DART wants to increase its fares by an average of 20%. As reported by NBC News 5, statistics released by the Dallas Poverty Task Force reveal that the poverty rate in Dallas has reached a crisis point. The Dallas economy has proven to work well for millionaires, but has neglected to provide opportunities and positive growth for the poor and working class, the report shows. According to recent data, more than half of Dallas households make less than $50,000 per year, 28% of the households make less than $25,000 a year, and 27% make less than $20,000 a year. The Poverty Task Force has compared the poverty rate in Dallas to Philadelphia and Baltimore. Systems in place have for decades denied portions of the city's poor and working class the opportunity for advancement. According to recent data, 90% of Dallas jobs are north of I-30. Today, Dallas is a tale of two cities, engineered by Dallas City Hall. Dallas has misspent hundreds of millions of dollars of HUD money to continue integration instead of providing affordable housing to integrate communities. And I understand that HUD has cut off monies to Dallas. That's my understanding. The Dallas Observer's Jim Schutz has called our mayor the #1 enemy of affordable housing. This has continued the concentration camps of poverty-stricken minority communities with very limited access to affordable housing and to decent education. The minus canaries of what is going on in Dallas, growing homeless population. In the past 10 years, Dallas homeless population has more than doubled. Why? Because our mayor's favorite homeless providers, if they can't make millions from our homeless, they will allow our homeless and Dallas residents to both suffer. D Magazine, a publication mostly for the rich, has been highly critical of DART. The title of the article, written by Peter Simic in 2016, had this headline: "Doesn't anyone at DART realize how terrible riding DART actually is?" This is from D Magazine. DART shouldn't be used for economic development, but should be a transit system. Over the past 10 years, 2007 to 2017, DART's passenger revenue has dropped about 17%. Obviously, this is going in the wrong direction. In summary, we have DART, which apparently doesn't know how to run a successful, profitable business, which seems to virtually ignore the poverty of the community which it serves, and it wants to place the biggest financial burden on those who can least afford it. However, if DART is going to increase its fares, I suggest you leave the day pass fares and the senior reduced fares alone and increase the weekly and monthly pass fares. This seems to be a good compromise solution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sheridan. Pamela Curry, followed by Joel Constantine.
Excuse me. Like the others, I oppose the DART fare increase because you don't earn what you get. You do not provide the service value for the fare that you collect now. As a disabled person, I used to be on paratransit. On my recertification 3 years ago, I was told because I'm intelligent, I'm a fraud, I'm a fake. And so I've been paying my fares again. I was advised to go to the federal courthouse and file a complaint, an ADA complaint against you. I did not. I sought a different a different pathway. I've been unsuccessful at it. But raising your fares on the elderly and disabled will put you right there at the same fare line as Uber, and you're nowhere near as reliable. When you start competing on fares with Uber, you think you have empty buses running around now? Uber's going to get rich. This is stupid. It's ridiculous. If you want to actually increase ridership, you need to lower the fares and increase the number, how often a bus. I live in North Dallas, almost Richardson. There's 3 tax-assisted senior communities right there. I live in one, there's one across the street, and there's one next door. And there's a lot of people at those bus stops all the time. It also happens to be where there's a Walmart right there. And yet that bus on Saturday, on Sunday, midday, afternoon, and evening, only during rush hour does it run any more frequently than once an hour. And it serves not 1, not 2, but 3 rail stations during the week. 2 in Richardson and 1 in Dallas. It is obscene that you want to increase the fares for your amusement park ride out here on the rail when you have no intention of actually improving your service. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Joel Constantine, followed by Deandra Wilkins.
Hello, my name is Joel Constantine, and I want to oppose the fare hikes, and I urge y'all to reject the plan that's come out. We live in an era of increasing economic and social inequality, and as the Dallas population become more blighted by homelessness, as affordable housing becomes out of the reach of most workers, the proposed fare hike would turn the screws on those who suffer most, the disabled, the poor, the elderly. And that's no way to run a city. That's not a way to make it fair to everybody who lives here. It's not a way to make a mass transit system that serves the people. It's a way to make it a playground for millionaires and for all the rich people who live here, who don't pay their fair share, but get free rides on the trolleys and get to not suffer like everyone else. What we need is not for a fare hike, not for something that increases the suffering of every working day people. We need plans that increase ridership, that increases level of service and makes things better, makes people want to ride DART. and makes everybody get on board and makes it a mass transit system that serves everyone. So I want to encourage you to please, just this once, do not turn that screw, do not increase the suffering on those who are at the bottom and those who suffer the most. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. DeAndre Wilkins, followed by Dane Kofer.
Hello, my name is DeAndre Wilkins, and if you stand for nothing, you fall for anything. So I'm standing up and exercising my freedom of speech, my ability to make a change, and my right as a taxpayer to voice my opinion concerning this price hike. I just recently started riding a train, and I don't regret learning, but I will regret not making the time to speak out against this injustice. Please don't stop me from getting to my education on time. That is the only reason why I ride the train, is to get to El Centro College. I am currently in a Europe program, which helps people my age, young adults, urban youths, find a successful job. 6 months of learning and development courses for soft skills and professional level, and educational internship for 6 months as well for next year. And if y'all raise the price for the train, then I would not be able to afford to get to my education on time. I could not afford to make the living that I need to survive in this economy right now. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm just trying to survive, and with the price hike, you're going to make it harder for me and for anybody my age, anybody in the Europe program, anybody who's going to college, going to the hospital every day. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Dane Kofer.
Good evening, Board. My name is Dane Kofer. I live at 17103 Davenport Road, Dallas, Texas, 75248. I live literally right next to the Cotton Belt Rail, so I'm not actually here to speak about the fare increases. On the Cotton Belt Rail, I understand that y'all were presented with some additional information today at the Planning Committee. The actual recommendations from DART staff for how that rail would look once it's fully implemented. I believe that based on the presentation that was uploaded, there is some information that was missing, or additional information that should be considered. These are traffic count velocity, designated emergency routes, discretionary detours, and a track record of safety. But when I boil it down, and I've been thinking about it, especially hearing the comments at this meeting, I think it boils down, in fact, to core values, fair play, and the arc of time. I emailed the details of this, or the basis of this, to each of the board members yesterday. So any of the details that are questionable, the actual links are that in your emails from yesterday early in the morning. But as far as core values, I would say it has to do with the fact that this is a steel ribbon which has the opportunity to tie us together, but it also has the opportunity to slice us apart. There are, right next to the rail, division between the school and a fire station, between the primary elementary school and a police station is the Cotton Belt. Grade separations would allow those critical services to move unimpeded. From a sense of fair play, I understand that there was a compromise between the suburban members of DART and the Central Dallas members for the combined D2 and the Cotton Belt, so that everybody gets what they want, except perhaps far north Dallas. I am one of the few people. I stood here a year ago when DART passed the resolution authorizing the Cotton Belt to be put on the 20-year plan. I said I was pro-DART. I had some concerns about safety. I have those same concerns. I would ask y'all to consider putting this at grade separation. And finally, on the arc of time, I would say we know what this is going to look like. The statistics are easily there. There's been a trial run of starting a train similar to this, in that DART managed or guided DCTA in launching their train. In the first 8 months, there were 7 accidents and 2 fatalities. There are more potential interactions in just far north Dallas than there were at the time of the DCTA startup. If you want to know what the future is going to hold, I would turn to the old saying, those who ignore history are destined to repeat it. The statistics point to that as if this remains at grade throughout this zone, there will be deaths. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That concludes our public comment period for the beginning of the meeting, and we will come back to a couple other speakers toward the end of the meeting. The next item we have are the consent items, items number 3 and 4. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second for consent items 3 and 4. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, those items passes unanimously. I've been asked to take number 5 individually. It came through the Planning Committee. Ms. Moreno.
Yes, item number 5 is, I move approval to execute the interlock agreement with the City of Glen Heights for eligible transit-related improvement programs reimbursements.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second for item number 5. Is there any discussion? We're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no.
No.
Okay, and the ayes have it. Next item on the agenda, item number 6, and you just received a blue sheet, so I want to take a minute to allow you to read the blue sheet, and then we'll come out with the motion. And basically what it says is that we're approving an extension for the ILA agreement for shared services with DCTA.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the extension. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the item passes unanimously. Next item is item number 7, which is the election of officers. And the board bylaws require that the board officers be elected at the annual meeting of the board, which is the regular first meeting in the month of October. Today, we will elect the board chair, a board vice chair, a secretary, and an assistant secretary. The special procedure for electing officers is established in Rule 1 of the DART Board Rule of Procedure. Rule 1 requires the voting be conducted using the electronic voting system. Do I hear a motion that we suspend the requirement that voting be conducted using the electronic voting system for this year's election of board officers?
Madam Chair, I move that we suspend the requirement that voting be conducted using the electronic voting system for this year's election of board officers and that we vote by a show of hands.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we will vote by show of hands. The floor is now open for nominations for the position of board chair, board vice chair, board secretary, and board assistant secretary. So far, we have one nomination for each of these seats. Do I have a motion to vote the entire slate as one? Yes, we can hear the slate. The slate for chair is Ms. Sue Bowman. For vice chair, Mr. Paul Wageman. For secretary, Ms. Michelle Kraus. And for assistant secretary, Mr. Jonathan Kelly. And I will need a nomination for those 4.
Madam Chair, assuming those are the 4 on the slate, I nominate each of those 4 to serve in those positions.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the slate passes unanimously. At this point, Ms. Bowman, I will turn the chair over to you along with the gavel, and you can finish up the agenda for today. Before I do that, I want to congratulate Ms. Lanisha Hawkins and her family. We're sorry to lose you, Lanisha, but we hope that you will enjoy Washington State, and we're so proud of you and your family.
Madam Chair,
Who's saying Madam Chair?
I did.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson.
Prior to you giving up that seat, I just wanted to recognize you for your time that you served as the chair of this board. Some of us are newbies, but your willingness to give of your time to help us along has been very appreciated. I know that your time as chair has been well served, and I just want to acknowledge you and appreciate you for the time that you put in as being chair of this board.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
And now you're walking away.
As I rush down to the other.
Don't forget your shirt.
No, this is the way it's done. Yeah, you got it. Great. I don't know what I'm. Okay. Continue with public speaking.
Thank you.
Here's your list right there. End of meeting.
Okay, and, good start. Thank you. We're going to continue with the public comments. This is at the end of the meeting comments. And do we have any speakers? We have Charles Mann and Cheryl Samuel. Are they here? Charles Mann, okay.
Good evening, Charles Mann. You know, at 65 years of age, I'm not naive enough to believe that standing up here in a T-shirt complaining about a dart fair is going to change y'all's minds about anything. I know perfectly well that you all are bureaucrats. You're going to do what bureaucrats do. You're going to raise the fares. The thing is, I can't raise my fares. You know, I live on Social Security. I get $883 a month. Now, I get a reduced bus pass, monthly bus pass for $40. It's going to go up to $48 a month. That $8 times 12 months is $96 a year. Now, that doesn't sound like a whole lot of money to you. It really doesn't sound like a whole lot of money to me either. But the fact is, at my level of income, it is. And I'll tell you straight up, I wouldn't mind paying the $96 a year increase if I could see an improvement in the service that was worth $98. But I haven't seen any such improvement. Thank you. And I don't think anybody else in here has either. Thank you.
Yes.
Sherilyn Samuel, 2225 Swansea Drive, Dallas, Texas. I'm here representing A. Philip Randolph. I am the president of the organization. We are going to organize. We are going to organize. We're already got the North Texas Transit Riders with us. We also have the Democrat Socialists of America with us. And we're going to pull more because we know numbers will make a difference. You're not out there on that bus or on that train, but we are. And the ones that will tell you the God's honest truth about what goes on out there, you refuse to put on committees. So I have to go on the outside to get the job done, because this organization is going to be 5-star in safety. What about the fatality on last week? That could have been an easy fix. But you don't have people on your committees that tell you the things for the easy fix. What about the assault on the operators? When an operator retaliate back, that's not the first time they done had an encounter with that person. And just like you, we are human too. You're not going to continue to let the same person keep harassing you. Eventually, you're going to snap. And that happened. Me, The incident with the man calling me the B word, kept calling me the B word. Last week, called me the B word. I refused to move the bus, wait for a supervisor. So as I'm explaining to the supervisor what was going on, one of my passengers came to my defense, went on the bus where he was, and told him, you wouldn't like nobody to call your mama, your sister, your uncle, your aunt. It took that person to get that person off me. You know what that man did the next time he seen me? He came and apologized. But the people you have on your committee have not been trained to be able to make things happen. So, since nobody wants Sherilyn on any of your committees, Sherilyn went outside. And I guarantee you, we're going to organize this company.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Samuels, and thank you, Mr. Mann. Are there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak? There are 2 people? 3, 4. Okay. Yes. If all 4 of you would like to come forward and get it and give your name and address when you address the board, I appreciate it. Okay, does everyone who wants to speak have a card? If not, Nisha, where are they? Thank you. Okay, thank you. Your name and address, please.
Name's Albert Durlow, Recording Secretary, ATU Local 1338. I just want to say, just to piggyback off of what Ms. Sherilyn Samuels said, each and every day a bus operator comes to work to make an honest day's living, and each and every day we got to wonder, are we being assaulted? And when we do have problems, I want to reiterate, it's a slow response time for transit police to react to us. We hit the silent alarm, dispatch keeps calling us. And the reason why is because the transit police are asking for our location. The purpose, again, I want to tell you, of the silent alarm is not to keep calling us, because we can have a passenger on our bus with a gun to our head. That's the purpose of a silent alarm. The transit police just needs to react to it, and they need to come to our aid without calling us on the radio. The silent alarm has a tracking device. Follow our GPS. That's what I want to add. We just come to work to earn an honest day's living. And when we have a situation out there, we want to get results from the Transit Police Department. Assaults are on the rise on bus operators. Other DART employees come to work not worrying about this. But we have to worry about, are we going to go home to our families safely and soundly? Thank you.
Next speaker is Andrew Kirk. Mr. Kirk.
Hello, good evening. So my name is Andrew Kirk, and I'm a teacher here in Dallas ISD. I teach at Sunset High School in Oak Cliff. The planned 140% fare increase for reduced regional riders will have an adverse effect on the communities DART serves in general and the communities that I serve in particular. Many of my students live in West Dallas. It's one of the city's most underserved areas with regard to transit with the least connectivity. Raising fares, especially for reduced riders, will limit economic and cultural opportunities for my students and their families. This increase will contribute to the further isolation of DART's most vulnerable riders, and I urge you all to reject it. Thank you.
Patricia Major.
Hello, my name is Patricia Major, and I live at Jim Miller Road on bus route 110. The very idea of making a fare increase dependent on a 20-year plan is not responsible and is not responsive to the community. Inflexibility makes for bad management, because how were we to know a decade ago what our world would be like today? How would we know that gas prices will be $2.25 in 2006? How are we to know that the housing prices would go dangerously high and force people out of the city or force people to spend more on their housing than they thought they would have to? How are we to know that Lyft and Uber would even be a thing when this plan was made? Flexibility is essential in your job. It's essential for you to be good stewards. Bus ridership is a sign of an active economy, and it's a generator of an active economy. The last thing you want is for people to be staying at home because they can't afford to go out to work or to see their friends or to participate in the life of this city. To be a good steward at DART, you must never forget your base, and that is the folks that depend on public transportation in order to make their lives work. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Major. The next speaker is Alex Telecki.
I just briefly want to say, please don't raise fares, and also I'd like you to, as the previous speaker said, please reconsider your 20-year plan, which would, if you hold on to it, mean that in another 5 years you'd be raising, if you do in fact raise fares, in another 5 years you'll be raising fares again to $7.50 for one ride, and that's just for the regular fare. Your books may balance, but people will no longer be able to use your service, and those are people who aren't even going to be using cars instead. They'll be people who are just going to be staying at home and being isolated, as so many seniors are, and unable to get to doctor's appointments, other things. I mean, your books may balance, but that doesn't mean that your service is sustainable. The things that make your service sustainable don't appear on a ledger. People's lives don't appear on a ledger. The environment doesn't appear on a ledger. The additional emissions that will be created by people who decide to use cars, those who have access to cars instead of your public transit. Looking at we're being hit by any number of obvious signs of climate change, and we should be thinking more outside the box than we are about just how much we need to increase use of public transit at this point. So please don't raise fares just because you have a random number on a piece of paper. Please don't. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board this evening before we adjourn? No one? Okay, thank you all for coming, and I would like to thank all my colleagues. I appreciate it, and I look forward to working with all of you very much. Thank you very much. And having said that, the board is adjourned at, who's our timekeeper? 7:15. Thank you very much.